From divine grilled cheeses selling for thousands of dollars, to offering your forehead space to the highest bidder, and all the way to auctioning off your virginity to a complete stranger, today we'll be exploring some of the most ludicrous auctions, sales, and sometimes illicit transactions that have ever taken place on the internet. And I can think of no better place to start than the legend of Cheetozard. Sometime in late 2018, two brothers were on a road trip in the United States when they stopped at a convenience store for snacks and refreshments. Like a true seasoned snack connoisseur, the younger brother makes his way to the chips and grabs him a bag of flaming hot Cheetos. Great choice. On his way to the register, he can't help but notice the colorfully obnoxious array of scratch-off lottery tickets on display at the counter. He ignores the temptation, pays for his Cheetos, and walks out. But unbeknownst to him, despite not playing the tickets, he had just hit the jackpot. When the brothers return to the car, they dig into their junk food smorgasbord, and about halfway into the bag, our flamin' hot enjoyer makes a remarkable discovery. From the depths of the Cheeto bag, he pulls a flaming hot Cheeto with a striking resemblance to that of a dragon, but not just any dragon. Given its red powdery hue and particular shape, well, the damn thing looked awfully like Charizard. Now, there have been many instances of Cheetos looking like things. Gorillas, Bigfoot, hell, even Jesus. But I'll be damned if a Cheeto has ever looked more like anything than this Cheeto looked like a Charizard. It's got the horns, the stubby little arms, wings, the thick hind legs, the tail, and even a little flame plume to boot. It's not perfect, but for RNG Cheeto assembly line luck, this is a 1 in a billion pull. The brothers were very much amused by the finding and the chip's uncanny resemblance to the iconic fire-flying type Pokemon. It seemed like a pretty rare discovery, and the younger brother very quickly decided that he was going to save the chip as a keepsake. That was until his older brother, who was also enamored with the Cheeto Charizard, well, he made an offer. That being, I'll trade you some Power Rangers toys for it. You got a deal. The road trip goes on without a hitch. They make the trade when they get home, and that's that. But the story of what would become known as Cheetozard is far from over, and will soon become rich with internet tomfoolery. After receiving Cheetozard in the trade with his brother, he went on to execute his covert master plan, that being sell the one-of-one Cheetozard for quick cash on eBay. It's not exactly known how many offers he got for it, but there was a fair amount of interest in Cheetozard. And we actually do know who purchased it. First and Goal Collectibles, a sport memorabilia and trading card outfit based in Canton, Georgia, were the lucky winners of the Big Brothers Cheetozard eBay auction, reportedly purchasing the one-of-a-kind corn chip for $350 sometime in 2019. It seems initially First and Goal's purchasing of Cheetozard was more of a joke than anything. They sealed Cheetozard within a custom laminated Pokemon card that bore its name. Pretty slick looking if I do say so myself. Store staff and customers thought it was hilarious, but there really wasn't anybody, knocking down the doors to buy the thing. It was more of a conversation piece. After the initial laughs wore off from the novelty of Cheetozard, the card was put in a safe amongst other hard-to-sell collectibles and was, for the time, forgotten. Yet this was merely a hibernation period before this enigmatic card's final evolution. And with Cheetozard asleep for now, a brief message for you. In the online marketplace, you'll find a lot of sketchy items for sale claiming to be enchanted or to have special powers or something like that. Holy grilled cheese sandwiches, haunted paintings, and even supernaturally enhanced MacBook computers. Let me save you guys some time and money. All the claims around those items, totally bogus. The only piece of magical merchandise you should ever consider spending your money on is today's sponsor, Magic Spoon cereal. It's the real deal. Not only is Magic Spoon delicious, it's sugar-free and packed with protein. 13 to 14 grams per serving, in fact. It's your favorite childhood cereal reinvented with an adult nutritional sensibility in mind. Fruity, cocoa, frosted, and peanut butter, all of the classic flavors are here in an unbelievable low-carb and delicious package. And hey, not in the mood for cereal? Magic Spoon has high-protein treats as well. These are great when you're on the go. They've only got 1 gram of sugar, but they have 11 to 12 grams of protein per bar. I've seen no better excuse for ditching the conventional protein bars that you find in the store full of junk. I love these Magic Spoon treats because they taste so good. It seems like something that would ruin your diet, but nah, you just got closer to your daily protein goal. I told you guys this stuff is magic. Get you some. Use my code WAVY or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal or treats today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, you get your money back, no questions asked. So to get $5 off, click the link in the description or go to magicspoon.com/wavy, or you can scan the QR code on here as well. Big shout out to Magic Spoon for sponsoring today's video. Now we return to the Cheeto. While preserved in its hermetically sealed chamber, the outside world was changing dramatically. COVID hits, and you had millions of people stuck at home, bored, looking for stuff to do. And for many, that meant blowing all of their money on collectibles, specifically Pokemon cards. The market skyrockets, and news articles were popping up weekly highlighting stories of mint condition, shadowless Charizards, some of the rarest and most coveted of all Pokemon collectibles, selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. This mania would persist for several years, and while the market has come down to earth in recent times, a preserved rare Charizard like this can still bring in close to $100,000. But this isn't the only mint condition form of Charizard that had been increasing in value. It's now 2024 in our story, and we're back at First and Goal Collectibles. A store employee is doing a deep digging of sorts into their hoard of collectibles, and stumbles across a long-forgotten trinket. The enigmatic Cheetozard had been rediscovered. Staff got another laugh out of it, but they wondered, given all that had happened over the last several years in the world of Pokemon collectibles, could this thing be worth something now? The folks at First and Gold decided, hell, let's give this guy another shot, and they made plans to auction Cheetozard off. But before listing it, they decided to do a little bit of marketing. On April 6, 2024, First and Goal Collectibles would post a reel to Instagram showcasing Cheetozard in all of its glory, posting the caption, "Cheetozard continues. We've had the Cheetozard for about 5 years now, and we totally forgot we had it until cleaning out the safe. Loads of offers have come in. If interested, private message us." New post with the home/label posted. To their shock, the post went absolutely viral, amassing over 500,000 likes, and the video was being shared across the internet as intrigue and interest brewed. Over the next several months, they would release more images of Cheetozard in its card form, raising the mystique of the card even further. And finally, in February of 2025, they put him up for auction on Golden's online collectible marketplace. A cutthroat bidding war ensued. The starting bid price was set at $250 on February 10th, and over the course of several weeks, this amount would increase dramatically. Over 60 bids were issued for this item. By February 20th, the bid was at $1,500. By the 24th, it was at $5,000. That bid would eventually be doubled on the 28th to $10,400. And then things got truly absurd on March 1st when the bid crossed the $30,000 mark. Within a day, that would be doubled again to $62,000 until finally a winning bid for $72,000 for Cheetozard, going once, going twice, sold at March 2nd at 1:42 a.m. $72K. Wow. Combined with a buyer's premium, the total sell price was $87,840. The news of Cheetozard's ludicrous selling price broke the internet for a day or two, with commenters baffled, amazed, and most importantly, humored. "This sums up 2025, commented one person. "If I was on death row, I'd want this to be my final meal," said another. "Good thing I didn't pull it because I would have ate it in seconds." Now you might be wondering who would purchase such a thing. Golden declined to comment on this matter, just saying that there was a lot of interest in the card. It really could have been anybody who purchased it. Though that being said, many speculate the purchaser of Cheetozard may very well have been the company that minted it, Frito-Lay. The senior vice president of PepsiCo, which owns Frito-Lay, actually commented in regard to the Cheetozard sale, stating, quote, "Cheetos are crafted with individual care and designed to be unique, and the Cheetozard is no exception. It's a long-standing tradition for fans to search for fun, interesting shapes and sizes inside every Cheetos bag, and we always love to see what they find." Some theorize that Frito-Lay may have purchased Cheetozard and would reveal this later as a part of an elaborate promotional stunt for their Cheeto brand. Or even if they did, maybe they would keep it anonymous and the idea was to put it in customers' heads like, hey, if you buy Cheetos, you might find something rare and you can make money off of it. It would certainly be a way to get people to buy your snack. At the end of the day, though, this Frito-Lay conspiracy is nothing more than conjecture. We have no idea who actually purchased the legendary Cheetozard. The fate of Cheetozard in the present day is something of a mystery. If you own this thing, leave a comment. Hopefully its new owner preserves it well. And as for the quality of the investment itself, the jury's still out on that one. Whatever the case, you have to wonder if the brothers who initially discovered Cheetozard are feeling like the guys who sold their bitcoins a little bit too early. Well, at least they have the priceless memory of being the ones who found it. Continuing on in our exploration, we move to another odd food item that raked in thousands in an online auction: the legend of the Virgin Mary grilled cheese sandwich. Back in 1994, a 42-year-old working from home jewelry designer by the name of Diana Dizer of Hollywood, Florida, was going about her normal day when she decided to cook herself a little grilled cheese sandwich. After preparing it to her liking, she sat down and took a bite. And to her shock, when looking at the crispy bread of the Sammy, she saw a face staring back at her. Inspecting further, Diana couldn't believe her eyes. It was the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ himself, on that bread. Quote, "It kind of scared the shit out of me at first, but now that I realize how unique it is, I wanted to share it with the world." Diana stopped what she was doing and immediately made efforts to preserve the holy grilled cheese, taking the sandwich and placing it in a plastic box along with some cotton balls. And according to the woman, this sealed sandwich would remain in her possession, more specifically on her bedside nightstand for the next 10 years, a protective artifact that never once grew a single spore of mold. The woman believed the sandwich had divine properties. After 10 years had gone by and the sandwich remaining relatively flawless in its integrity, Diana decided it was time to share the sandwich with the world and called up the Miami Herald to set up an interview. Now, at first there was much hesitation to hear her out on this blessed grilled cheese. People thought that she was some kind of religious nut. But when the sandwich was seen by others in the media, it went completely viral. And we're talking 2004, pre-YouTube and most social media viral. The Virgin Mary grilled cheese gained its legendary reputation on the many decentralized message boards that were around at the time. It is to be noted that in 2004, something else was going on that may have bolstered the interest in a grilled cheese that seemingly has the Virgin Mary on it. A movie called Passion of the Christ. You might have heard about it. If you were alive when Passion of the Christ came out, you might remember that it got a lot of people fired up about Jesus and Christianity again. Everyone was going to church again, and there was this crazy populist enthusiasm surrounding Christianity and a fair bit of delusion going on as well. I mean, people were looking for a sign, you know what I'm saying? People were high on Christ, and a Virgin Mary grilled cheese, well, it might as well just be a sign from God. The sandwich's enigmatic status only grew. Diana's holy artifact got coverage from late-night television. Leno and Letterman both discussed it. The internet was abuzz talking about it. You couldn't avoid this thing. It was only a matter of time before collectors started calling. With the Holy Grail remaining rather elusive, some considered this Virgin Mary grilled cheese the next best thing, and were willing to pay Diana big money to get their hands on the famous sandwich. Despite having a deep and personal connection with the grilled cheese and sleeping next to it for 10 years, Diana was happy to oblige them for the right price. Eventually, in 2004, the sandwich would wind up on eBay, giving artifact hunters a chance to bid on and claim the crusty item for themselves. To say the auction was popular would be a massive understatement. The starting bid was at $9.99, then it went to $40, then to $80, and drastically increased to $2,000, then to $15,000, and then to $22,000. Jesus, how high is this thing gonna go? Uh-oh, eBay steps in. Apparently, eBay, never really seeing an auction this bizarre, mistakenly suspected that it was fraudulent or a joke listing, and they abruptly removed it. They communicated with the woman. "Do you actually plan on selling this grilled cheese, or is this some kind of joke?" She replies, "Yes, I plan on selling my Virgin Mary grilled cheese to the highest bidder." Those following the listing were on the edge of their seats awaiting eBay's response. eBay's statement: "After looking at it a second time, there's nothing to indicate that the seller isn't willing to give up this grilled cheese sandwich to the highest bidder. We're going to allow it to stay up." The bidding war for the grilled cheese Virgin Mary was back on in full force. By the end of the battle, a total of 27 bids had been cast, with the listing itself receiving over 1.7 million page views. The highest bid and winning offer, placed November 15th of 2004, was a whopping $28,000. The purchaser of this holy object was, rather ironically, a party of sinful nature. A casino website known as goldenpalace.com. Apparently, Golden Palace used this as an opportunity for publicity, purchasing the Virgin Mary grilled cheese to raise awareness about their brand. Golden Palace executives would later tell the press that they were willing to even go higher with the price. As much as it took, they said. By any means necessary, this company was gonna get that fucking grilled cheese. Quote, "It's a part of pop culture that's immediately and widely recognizable. We knew right away we wanted to have it." After the sale, people asked Diana why she thought it was so valuable. To her, that answer was simple. Quote, "I would like all people to know that I do believe that this is the Virgin Mary, Mother of God." Unquote. The divine sandwich was delivered safely in a protected metal briefcase. And it is to note that the casino also ended up paying Diana an extra $6,000 for the pan she cooked the sandwich in. A blessed accessory, you could call it. Diana was handed a large plastic check, and the actual money was wired into her bank account on November 16th of 2004. She said, "I'm numb right now. I can't comprehend that this is all happening." The company wined and dined Dyer and her husband, taking them to Las Vegas for an official sandwich transfer ceremony. Golden Palace had a lot of plans for this thing. The casino commented, "We'd like to send Diana and the sandwich on a world tour. We think our customers around the world would really get a kick out of seeing the sandwich at the Taj Mahal, at Red Square, at the Eiffel Tower." They were going on a worldwide publicity tour with the damn thing. In the wake of this ridiculous purchase, there were many who posed the obvious question of how did the sandwich not spoil after 10 years? And, how do you know she didn't just make it 3 weeks ago or something and is acting like it's older than it is? When Golden Palace was asked if they had been given a certificate of authenticity, they had this to say. "We are talking to a couple of food decay specialists to try to figure out how this sandwich stayed in such good shape over the years. And when they were asked what would happen if they found out the sandwich was only like 10 weeks old and, not authentic, they said, 'We don't think that's the case. But if it is, it's still a magical sandwich.'" Now, if we're being honest, depending on how well done the grilled cheese was, plus the fact she clearly kept it encased in cotton balls, which would constantly absorb the moisture and keep mold down, I do think it's plausible that you could keep something like this for a decade. If you keep something dry enough, it's not going anywhere. Also, you gotta keep in mind the sliced store-bought bread options in 1994, very highly processed. And this woman used a Kraft single to make this thing, so it's pretty much entirely manufactured synthetic food from the start. She might as well have just made a Big Mac. It'll keep. Whatever the case, Diana was happy to get her payday, but from time to time, she longs for the company of her beloved grilled cheese. I'll miss her greatly because she was a comfort to me in times when it wasn't so easy. Diana Dizer. Strange Charizard Cheetos and sacred grilled cheeses are examples of bizarre yet tangible items sold on the internet. What you must realize, though, is this market goes beyond things that you can physically hold in your hand. People have sold parts of their body. Welcome to the world of body tattoo advertising. In the raucous cultural landscape of the early 2000s, marketers and advertisers were willing to play fast and loose when it came to bringing attention to their brands. And in this edgy era, you saw the rise of a controversial marketing ploy: tattoo advertising. Essentially, a brand would pay someone who was desperate for money to get a tattoo of said brand on their body in a highly visible area to cause public controversy and thus attention. And you might be surprised to find that even massive corporations have got in on this trend. In 2003, Toyota paid 40 willing individuals to get temporary tattoos on their foreheads, which promoted their new Scion TC car. The tattoo included the vehicle's name and price. These participants were stationed at Times Square in New York City and were compensated $11 an hour while they were deployed, which is a pretty nice paycheck for 2003, by the way. It was a guerrilla marketing tactic targeting young adults. How successful it was, I can't really say for sure. But needless to say, this approach was very much of the times, and it would only be a matter of time before someone would raise the stakes. I mean, a temporary tattoo? Come on, that's pussy shit. I'd like to introduce you all to the starlet of this story, Caroline Carey Smith of Salt Lake City, Utah. Carey found the payouts from these temporary tattoo marketing ploys enticing and came up with an idea. How about I raise the stakes and offer up my forehead space for a permanent tattoo? Yep, Carey wanted to become a walking billboard. Now, this woman was financially struggling. She needed some cash. Carey had recently experienced a great deal of turmoil in her personal life, going through a divorce, and not long after, she lost multiple family members, including her beloved sister, in a car crash that happened on April 18th of 2005. And on top of all of that, she was a single mother. Carey needed a come-up, and apparently, selling her forehead online was the solution to her woes. After discussing the logistics of the matter with her at-the-time boyfriend, Carey decided to go for it and auctioned her forehead space on eBay, with a buy-it-now price asking for $10,000, but bids were accepted. Due to the bizarre nature of this listing, it went viral almost immediately, attracting over 27,000 hits and had about 1,000 watchers on it. The bidding war started healthily enough, with it reaching close to $1,000, but seemingly out of nowhere, it was sold. Carey's forehead real estate had been snatched up for its $10,000 asking price by none other than GoldenPalace.com. They were back at it again. Yes, that's right. The infamous purchasers of the Virgin Mary grilled cheese had laid claim to Carey's forehead, and they had plans of tattooing their website URL smack dab on her noggin. Carey had actually received multiple offers from other companies, but seeing Golden Palace had a track record for following through with their outrageous offers, she went with them. Carey also explained that the money she received would be used to give her son a better education. Quote, "For all the sacrifices everyone makes, this is a very small one. It's a small sacrifice to build a better future for my son. I really want to do this. To everyone else, it seems like a stupid thing to do. To me, 10,000 is like 1 million. I only live once and I'm doing it for my son." After receiving the money, Carey had to execute her side of the bargain and went to see a tattoo artist by the name of Don Browse on June 29th, 2005. It's reported that this artist actually spent several hours trying to convince Carey not to go through with the tacky-looking tattoo, but the woman remained steadfast in her conviction to defile her forehead for cash. So they got to work. "It feels like someone is taking a pin and just stabbing you with it," Carey told her son, who was anxiously watching the whole process. She then asked the tattoo artist, "Will it go numb?" "It'll go as numb as your brain," Mr. Browse replied. "My brain is already numb," Carey said, laughing. And with that, the deal was done. One of, if not the first permanent casino site forehead tattoo was etched. Glorious, don't you think? The publicity from this story continued to run rampant on the internet and in the media. Carrie got the nickname Forehead Goldie. She became a little living meme for a moment there. A living meme that got paid. And seeing how Carrie got a payday, it wouldn't be long before others put some skin in the game. Soon others were following in Carrie's footsteps, including a Canadian man who went by the name Brent the Human Pincushion Moffat. At the time, Moffat was attempting to break records with the number of tattoos and piercings on his body. He too sold his forehead space for a permanent Golden Palace decal for an undisclosed price. There was also a Scottish woman named Angel Brammer who auctioned off advertisement space on her sized 42 double G breasts, though this one wasn't permanent. This marketing tactic would fall out of vogue eventually, but one must wonder what became of Carrie Smith. Did the $10,000 boon earned from desecrating her forehead pay off? Did she regret her decision? Updates regarding this woman's personal life after the fact are few and far between, but there are some developments to report. In 2018, there would be an update. According to reports, she did actually use most of the $10,000 payday to fund a private education for her son. Good for him. Though it seems her financial struggles were never fully remedied by this. One Facebook post claimed that she was living in the basement of her father's house after running dry on funds again. Though the silver lining here is that she wouldn't actually have to live the remainder of her life with this gaudy tattoo on her forehead. Turns out, eventually, Golden Palace allegedly stepped up and paid to have Carrie's tattoo removed at her request. So it actually wasn't so permanent after all. While Carrie's gambit did pay off in some way, it wasn't a life-changing solution she had initially hoped for. But all things considered, I reckon this could have gone far worse. Auctioning off your forehead space is one thing, but have you ever considered selling off one of your own family members online? People have attempted this on numerous occasions, and while most times it's a joke, sometimes these listings have criminal implications. On the more light-hearted side of things, you have the September 2016 case of Simon O'Kane, a motorcycle enthusiast and father of two from Wakefield, Yorkshire, who ended up auctioning off his used wife on eBay. His purpose for doing so? Well, he said it was because of her whining and nagging at him every day that he got off work. In the eBay listing, he'd referred to his wife in a similar fashion that you'd see somebody trying to sell off an old dirt bike. The man wrote, "For sale, one wife, not new, has been used, still got some good miles left in her. Reason for selling. I've had my fill and there has to be someone out there that is more deserving of her time than me. Oh dear God, please let there be." Good points. Bodywork and paintwork still in decent shape and has some skills in the kitchen. Bad points. Often makes this noise that cannot be silenced unless you order brand new shiny parts of metal. Sometimes them skills in the kitchen result in you ending up in hospital. All in all, not a bad model of the year. I'm sure some lucky guy will get lots of use. Offers welcome. May consider a part exchange for a younger model. Terms and conditions. Once bought, you cannot return ever. When the wife, who worked as a beauty therapist, found out that she was put up for sale on eBay, she was absolutely fuming. Everyone at work saw it and were laughing their heads off. Not only did he put me up for sale, but he used such a bad photo. Though the joke took an interesting turn when the bids started slipping in. It was safe to say his used wife was a hot commodity, with bids going as high as £65,000 for the used wife. She was going for BMW prices. Plus, there was some interesting commentary regarding the offering as well. Simon reflects on some of this chatter. There were a few general pervy guys asking for more pictures, but most of the responses to the ad were hilarious. The best one was, "Has she raced or rallied?" We both like the guy looking to exchange her for a camel, and the guy trying to work out how much bacon he could get out of her really got us howling. Okay, that's just like kind of disturbing, dude. Now, luckily for Simon, his wife had a good sense of humor and took everything on the chin. The couple were able to laugh about it together, and as you might expect, eBay did eventually delist their joke listing. Upon its removal, Simon said, "I was disappointed the listing was taken down, mainly because I wanted to see how high it would go, but it was for a laugh, so I wasn't actually gutted. It wasn't like I'd actually let someone have her. She's too good. I'd like to say I'd have spent the cash on my dream garage and a bunch of lads' holidays out on the bikes, but the reality is I'd probably spent it on getting her back. I think they'd have been a lot of groveling and a lot of handbags bought. Either that or I'd be spending the money on security from my wife. Now, I wanted to share with you all that story as an example to showcase the limits of how far you should take a joke like this without risking a human trafficking inquiry. You don't want to end up like this next boneheaded couple. A more disturbing version of this sort of auction came all the way back in May of 2008, where a German couple put up their 8-month-old son on eBay, pictures and all, with the asking price of €1, stating the child was 28 inches long and too loud for its parents. It was obviously a joke, but making your infant child the butt of it and sharing the baby's photo to potential creeps online, an absolutely insane move. This listing resulted in German authorities getting notified after witnesses of the listing called to report it for potential malfeasance. The concern ended up in the parents facing a full-blown law enforcement investigation, and they were promptly taken into custody. The mother later claimed that it was simply a joke, yet police remained stern, putting the baby in state custody for a time. Investigators said, quote, "She said it was a joke. That's not clear yet. Detectives are investigating on suspicion of child trafficking." The mother was quoted in Bild newspapers saying, "It was only a joke. I just wanted to see if someone would make an offer. They've taken my son to hospital and I've got to take psychiatric tests next week." After a thorough inquiry, it seems the detectives came to the conclusion the family had no intent of actually trafficking the kid and the babe was returned to them. Social services would routinely visit them for a while after this ordeal to make certain that the kid was in good hands. But what about when trying to sell an infant online isn't a joke at all? In late 2016, 26-year-old John David Kane and 37-year-old Deanna Lynn Greer of Greenville, Tennessee, became parents to a newborn baby. It would become remarkably clear soon after, though, that these scumbags were unfit to raise a child. On March 24, 2017, the couple made the harrowing decision to put up an advertisement on Craigslist of all places, offering to sell their baby for a mere $3,000 sum. Of course, with this being highly illegal and literal child trafficking, the ad would pop up on the radar of local police, and on the same day of it being posted, the Greene County Sheriff's Office covertly set up a sting operation, feigning to be a potential buyer. They were trying to catch the couple red-handed. The soon-to-be traffickers agreed with the undercover buyers on a price of $3,000 and planned to meet with them at a Dollar General located on Asheville Highway. During the exchange, officers expected to be met with a scam or some kind of elaborate hoax. They didn't believe someone could be this stupid. But when they arrived, they were shocked to find that there was indeed a living and breathing 5-month-old baby boy in the vehicle. After making the trade, they were subsequently arrested by the undercover officers and taken into custody. They were put in Greene County Jail and charged with aggravated child neglect, child abuse, and illegal payment in connection with placement of a child. Both of them were held on a $150,000 bond. The baby was thankfully in good health and given to the Department of Child Services. It would also be revealed that John David Kane was facing charges in Wilmington, North Carolina for unrelated cases, which included embezzlement and 2 charges associated with a break-in at a local car dealership. There was an attempt by the couple's defense attorneys to argue that John and Deanna were merely trying to raise funds for adoption, and the $3,000 they requested were for family expenses, but the judge rejected the explanation. Later on August 1st of 2018, the couple would plead guilty and were sentenced to 10 years in prison. In their sentencing, the judge ordered that the couple must complete at least 35% of their term, which only equates to about 2.5 years. As a Tennessean, I'm embarrassed by this light sentencing. Like, these people should be facing 10 to 15 years, dude. You tried to sell a kid. Now, with that segment out of the way, why don't we lighten things up a bit with a classic internet versus clueless mom story. When her sons destroyed the family bathtub by playing with Beyblades in it, she attempts to punish them, listing their prize toys on eBay. This effort catches the attention of Reddit and 4chan, and let's just say they weren't fans of her approach to parenting. In February of 2011, an outraged mom from Sewanee, Georgia, would come home to find her bathtub in shambles after her kids had been engaging in some heated Beyblade battles using the tub as an arena. Frustrated, annoyed, and looking to teach her kids a lesson, she confiscated the Beyblade toys. But she would take this punishment to even more questionable lengths after that. Posted on February 5th, 2011, the mother, going by the username Danny21, created an eBay listing for the Beyblades. The listing included her sons, who were crying, holding up the bags of their prized possessions. She was auctioning them off. Well, not the kids, just the toys. Her post read, "We are selling 8 Beyblades. 2 of them light up. As you can tell, they're not happy about this. They've been using their bathtub as a battle arena, and Beyblades plus bathtub equals destruction. With the metal ones, they managed to scrape the enamel off the tub, take a chunk out of the tub, and break the soap holder. So if you win this auction, don't play with it in a bathtub." We have received a quote of $500 to replace the tub, some tiles, and the soap holder, plus labor, of course. They had approximately $125.67 in their piggy banks that will be going towards the cost. We will use the profit from this auction towards the balance, and then it's on to other toys. Good luck bidding, PayPal only. Now, considering the rather hostage-esque looking photo and story behind this listing, it started to get a lot of attention on online message boards. A thread discussing it on Reddit's r/pic subreddit went viral, and commentary ensued. You can tell which one would survive in jail. That picture looks like something that kidnappers would send to police to verify that the hostages are still alive. There'd be a wide range of discussion in this Reddit post. Some were upset by the humiliation Danny was putting her kids through, while others seemed to be on the side of the parents and felt the kids should have known better and that this was a justified punishment. One Redditor said, "These parents are pretty fucked up. When you have kids, you have to assume collateral damage. You can't expect your kids to pay for stuff they messed up while being kids." Other Redditors sided with the parents. "You have no idea that maybe they've been destructive little bastards and have gotten multiple warnings that if they cause any more damage and continue playing rough, then there would be dire consequences. Kids need to learn the hard way about things. I think this is hilarious, and if I had told my kids and warned them 1,000 times not to fuck around or shit would hit the fan, then I wouldn't feel bad punishing them. Plus, I mean, come on, they look about 7 or 9, old enough to start to know to follow directions." I don't get it either. It's not like the parent beat them for wrecking the tub. It's a valuable life lesson. If you destroy someone's property, you need to pay for it, which will cause you to have less money to buy what you want. Thanks to the absurd and contentious nature of this eBay post, it caught tons of attention, getting over 200,000 page views in a short time, and bids for the Beyblade started coming in. But the insanity truly starts when 4chan gets involved. It was 4chan's B-board in particular that would turn up the dial on the shenanigans. Many 4chaners would alter and Photoshop the picture, creating parodies of the children carrying illegal contraband in place of their Beyblade toys, each parody being more shocking than the last. Marijuana, severed body parts, sex toys, and uranium, you name it. But that wasn't all 4chan would do. They'd also start sabotaging the listing with fake offers, submitting dramatically increasing bids for the toys, leaving the mother shocked and confused. Soon the bidding on the toys had increased in price to $10,000, and you can see in this picture that at one point it was all the way up to $999,999. Infinite money glitch discovered? Many users wrote trollish messages to the woman. An anonymous 4chan user wrote to her, "I work for a construction company specializing in refurbishing buildings for use as office space. My 2 children love Beyblades. I ran across this auction and was actually quite horrified. I mean, I'd never considered that we could use these things for stripping old buildings. Amazing when you consider my kids have been playing with them for a couple of years. Based on your own experiences, how many metal Beyblades do you think we would need to let rip to strip a 1,200 square foot warehouse? And how quickly would they accomplish the task? Yours in Christ." The troll would actually receive a response from Danny, stating, quote, "Do you plan to pay over $9,000 for the Beyblades, or is this a joke to you? Because this has been a problem all day and I'm going to report to eBay." eBay, discovering the blatant tomfoolery at hand, stepped in and removed the auction from their website. And the party was over. Danny's half-baked disciplinary plan had been foiled by internet users. Shortly after the removal of her listing, KnowYourMeme.com got in contact with Danny, who provided a rather irritated update to the outlet. "I wanted to let you know that eBay took the listing down because of all of the fake bids. We do not have the option to relist it. It did not violate any eBay codes, but we are undecided if we will. We have received several hundred emails in the hours that we had the listing up. Most of the emails were not very nice, and I'm not sure if we were willing to deal with that again. Unfortunately for the mother, Danny 21, she would receive a lot of harassment that wasn't just trolling and jokes. She was reportedly doxxed, and her personal information was spread through the 4chan message board. Stuff like her workplace and employment, her first and last name, MySpace accounts, and Facebook. This was obviously taking things a bit too far, because now you're potentially putting the kids at risk by broadcasting their home address to the internet. I mean, wasn't the whole point of this kind of to spite the mom but have the backs of the kids? Come on, guys. Whatever the case, interest in this scenario soon waned, and Danny learned her lesson. Never involve the internet in the punishment of your children. We've talked about selling a part of your body for cash online, but what about selling the body parts of others? This man, Cedric Lodge, was once the manager at a morgue. But not just any morgue. It was one that belonged to the prestigious Harvard Medical School's Anatomic Gifts program. The purpose of this morgue was to house and preserve various organs, tissues, and body parts donated to the medical school for research. And Cedric was responsible for overseeing and protecting this macabre yet invaluable collection. For many years, this corpse custodian did his job dutifully, but after learning of a devious money-making proposition, sinister inclinations took over. Upon learning of online black markets which pervade human body parts and tissues, Cedric thought to himself, hell, who's gonna notice if I take a few? Beginning in 2018, Cedric would take organs and body parts from the morgue back to his place in Goffston, New Hampshire, where he lived with his wife Denise Lodge. And these two would operate a black market network by selling cadavers on the internet covertly, making tens of thousands of dollars in the process. While on occasion Cedric would meet with his clients in person, more often than not, he would actually mail human body parts and appendages to his clients. That's weird. Something wet and squishy in this box. Probably just a salami. This disturbing scheme went on for many years, until members of the network played fast and loose in the cadaver gold rush, and got caught up with law enforcement thanks to the brazenness of their operation. Cedric would be implicated by word of mouth, along with some receipts that he had left behind during his long transaction history of illicit deals. One PayPal receipt from the man was subpoenaed, which listed a sell transaction titled Head Number 7 and Brains. On June 14, 2023, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Pennsylvania announced that Cedric and 4 other co-conspirators were arrested and indicted by federal grand jury on conspiracy and interstate transport of stolen goods charges. Harvard officials called the allegations an abhorrent betrayal and said, "It is with profound sadness and distress that we write to share with you that federal authorities have accused a former Harvard Medical School employee of having engaged in activities that are morally reprehensible." As you might imagine, the people and family members associated with the body parts that were involved in this black market scheme were devastated to know that their loved ones had parts sold that they wanted studied by scientists and researchers. That's pretty traumatic. In May of 2025, Cedric Lodge would plead guilty to trafficking in stolen human remains and faces up to 10 years in prison for his activities, shipping donor organs and cadavers to internet purchasers. Now we move to a cohort of individuals who haven't sold items or body parts per se, but rather an experience. Virginity auctions. Rosie Reed was an 18-year-old struggling student in London who was having a hard time paying for her tuition and living accommodations while attending Bristol University in southwest England. She was facing close to £15,000 of debt and was getting desperate to remedy her cash problem. One day in early 2004, her and her at-the-time girlfriend were searching through their house to find any items that they could sell on eBay. And that's when she remembered her most valuable possession, if you will. Rosie thought to herself, hey, what if I auctioned off my virginity to the highest bidder? She said, we were complaining about being broke and wondering what we could flog on eBay that wouldn't cost us anything. We started off thinking about selling traffic cones, and then it came to me that I could sell my virginity. We had a bit to drink and I ended up posting a notice on the website. It was just a laugh at that stage. You see, Rosie was actually a lesbian, meeting her girlfriend Jess when she was 16. The woman had never experienced losing her virginity in a penetrative sense, I guess. Her partner at the time, Jesse Cameron, was uneasy with this proposition at first, but came around to the idea of Rosie auctioning off her virginity, as it could help her out of this financial rut, so she would support the idea. And so what started as a joke became the real deal. Rosie posted her auction to eBay in January of 2004, writing, 18-year-old university student looking to sell virginity. Never lost it due to lesbianism. Will bung in free massage if you are any good. Picture on request. Immediately, the auction got a lot of traction, with over 2,000 responses from all over the world coming in. Now, obviously, eBay was having none of this and withdrew her listing very quickly, citing its sexually solicitive nature. But Rosie wasn't dismayed. She continued forward with the auction via her own website. The new website described Rosie as an 18-year-old lesbian muff diver virgin and told bidders, "You are bidding for a prime piece, 18 years young, no previous owners. Shipping will be covered by the vendor. Item is non-refundable. This product may contain traces of nuts." It would be the girlfriend who stayed in contact with the highest bidders, talking to them on the phone and trying to work out a deal. And they would come to a final decision, going with someone who had offered £8,400. That individual was a 44-year-old engineer who was a divorced father of two named Tom. Rosie says, "We picked Tom because he seemed more normal and was keen to use a condom." The two would meet up sometime in March of 2004 at a hotel where they'd have dinner and, well, go through with the deal. After it was all said and done, Rosie Reed would speak to a media outlet, telling them that she found the process insanely awkward and, well, honestly traumatic. She told the newspaper, "It was horrible. I felt nervous and scared. I felt obliged to please him as he had just paid all of this money." She adds, "It didn't feel like it was happening to me. I felt like I was watching it happen to somebody else. The first time I felt really awful, as though I was a piece of meat. It wasn't painful, but I felt powerless and overwhelmed. I didn't want to have bad memories of the encounter, so I was determined to give it another try. This time I felt more in control. I enjoyed it much more." According to a report from The Standard, the woman and her suitor slept in the same bed that night, and in the morning they got up, hugged, shook hands, and parted ways. Tom has not been heard from since. Rosie reflects, "I got the impression that Tom was very satisfied with our night together. He'd always wanted to sleep with a virgin, and the fact that I was so young and a lesbian was a real fetish of his." Apparently, while all of this was going on, Rosie's girlfriend Jess was in a room nearby for safety measures. She said, "I was just so relieved when it was over. I was desperate to get back to Jess as I felt so uncomfortable." This incident, unsurprisingly, would spark something of an investigation because, well, it kind of seemed like prostitution, right? This investigation was initiated by the Avon and Somerset police, who looked into it, deeming it a potential solicitation, though no formal charges were ever brought forward. In May of 2004, it would be reported that infamous singer Madonna was working on a movie about the bizarre incident. However, nothing ever came of this. The media would catch up with Rosie months later, and she'd reveal that she didn't regret her decision, despite her initial testimony. "I really don't have a problem with what I did. It was consensual sex. To be honest, if anything, I exploited Tom by taking so much of his money. I would have probably done it for £2,000. That's still not bad for a night's work. Ultimately, I'd like to be a social worker, but first I'm going to join the police force and work as a liaison officer. I want to help young people and show them the right way to live their lives. I'm fine in my head about it. I know how I feel, and I think I did the right thing. I don't think it'll affect my life or career prospects at all. Everyone will have forgotten about it by the time I look for a job as a police officer." And well, you made it to the end. Let me know what you guys thought about this one down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. I have poison ivy on my face.